kids working together to accomplish things and give back to the community. I'm going to show you a video. It's not explicitly about global competence or global education, but it is about curricular innovation, which is the second part of this conference. And then afterwards, I'll try and come back to it, and we'll think a little bit about how this model might be used in global education. So if all the technology works, this is going to be wonderful. So let's see what the video plays.
You're going to bring all the work that you've done to the cafeteria for the culminating event. And I think each of us are going to describe what you need for tech ed. Obviously, you need your kinetic sculpture. I think it's best that each person brings their own sculpture down there because we don't want any accidents to happen.
Also, we don't want you to forget those two guided questions. How does art reflect the community? And the other one is how does science, math, and engineering connect to art? And also you're going to want to show them your Google Maps on the public art sites, okay? And all of those things you have to be prepared to talk about. And also,
the 80-plus students in King Middle School's York House embarked on a 12-week learning expedition in the fall of 2009. They researched and photographed public art sites, produced a Google Maps walking tour, and created a model of an original kinetic sculpture and a proposal to install it.
I think it's fine-tuning the product to a certain extent.
The project began with a teacher planning session over the summer.
It's very difficult to have a really deep, meaningful conversation around curriculum and how that's all going to fit together if you don't actually have the thing made and connect the kind of learning that's most important.
Once the goals were set, Tech Ed teacher Gus Goodman took up the challenge of building a model prototype.
So I decided I had to take a sculpture course. And so this is what I made in that course. And so I brought this in, and the kids right away pointed out, well, it doesn't work, Mr. Goodman, or this is bent, and you need to fix that and that. And it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Today we're out here taking photos of already existing public art that we're studying in social studies. We got a piece of the top of that. We're going to make a visual where if you click on a piece of art, it'll come up with information that we found and written about the statue or piece of art.
Log in using this, and I just right there to Google. And then we go to My Maps. Students are working with Google Maps, and they're identifying all the public art pieces that exist in the city of Portland. And then all of our kids have created a description of different art pieces out there so that these different public art sites can be connected as a walking tour.
You know how to get there? So if we went to the other map, would you be able to get us there?
So basically everything that anybody would want to know about that public art piece would be here, and it's designed by our students. So it's sort of a public art public service.
This is called art underfoot because they got like leaves, feathers, like anything that you can find on the ground, and they made it out of like bronze bricks and stuff. And I found out that art underfoot wasn't made by one artist, it was like a community of people. It kind of shows how a community can come together with different people and how they can help each other make one piece of art.
In language arts class, students wrote letters to Portland city officials and created proposals for the installation of their original works of public art.
I loved shop when I was in school, but the big difference is the teacher had a plan and said, okay, kids, we're making this pump handle lamp, and if you follow the directions, it'll come out just like mine, and that's great. And that was good for those times. Times have changed, so the focus is more on the kids inventing their own stuff.
And if the wind is blowing hard enough, then it'll make this
spin around, and the weight from the sky makes them come back down.
This class is like fun because like they teach us how to be creative and to make our own design, so that we will have that experience as we grow along.
So I think kids have the opportunity to kind of tinker. They get to think about something, but then also actually build it, create it, and in that process, fix it when things go wrong. It's an incredible value that I think is lacking, where they don't have a class like this, or like an art class or music, or something where the kids actually have to do something, get their hands dirty, and make stuff. Excellent. Last night, when I put all the sculptures, so there's like 80 sculptures in the front of my room, and it was really amazing, thinking of where we started and where we ended up. Just the variety of ideas and the ingenuity you had. You should be really proud. It's just so cool to look at them all together. It's really very cool.
It's kinetic because it moves on its own, so it blows in the wind. These things a little bit. And this is how it works.
On a Friday after school, students displayed their model sculptures and discussed their installation proposals with parents and members of the community.
What do you mean you did the math to figure out the balance?
Well, this one, which is 2 inches by 2 inches. So I half of that.
It's pretty exciting to see the kids get engaged in the work that they're doing, take ownership of the work they're doing, feel responsible for it, and then be able to talk about the things that they're learning.
So that you're this side balancing this side.
And sometimes I think we get too concerned about the standards, and there's an assumption behind a lot of that we actually know what our kids are going to face in the future. And I'm not very convinced of that. And so the pieces about creativity, cooperation, problem solving, those are going to be there. And so the kids getting those here is crucial and key.
It's a weeping willow, and it's called Miss Lincoln Tree. The name was named after Lincoln Park, where I want to put this.
And these will blow in the wind?
Yeah. It has a little bit of snipes and
That's a
history
lot.
base. Yeah.
Well, I think you just got my first vote.
Oh, thank you.
For more information about what worked,
So I know some of that may be difficult to follow in terms of the language. I know there may be difficult to follow some of the language, so let's review what we saw there. Make sure everybody's together. First thing, and this is really a model, a general model of project-based learning. Not every project is done exactly the same way. There are variations from teacher to subject area, but in general, the teacher forms groups of students. Usually, we encourage the teacher to make those decisions rather than the students to make the decisions, especially at the beginning of a student's experience with project-based learning. And put together 4, 5, 6 students who are a little different individually, but who can work together. So you don't put all the A+ students together in one group. And you don't put all the troublemakers together in one group. So they form groups. And then you give the groups a challenge or a problem to solve. In this case, there were several different tasks they had to do. They had to go out and photograph public art that already existed in the city of Portland, Maine, where this was taken. They had to write it up, describe it, and put it in a Google map that would be available to people that lived in Portland, Maine. So if someone wanted to see where the public art was, they could go out and find it. They could do a walking tour. They also had to design their own sculpture. They had to make a drawing and a description of it, and then they had to build it. And all of this required some form of research into what was out there in the streets of Portland, into how to make the arm balance in terms of kinetic sculptures. And they worked together on the first part, doing the mapping of the art, and they worked individually by themselves on the second part. Typically, project-based learning may not have as much individual work as it does have group work, but it usually has both. The students work together. If they were solving a problem, they'd be discussing the research they've done. Here they're discussing in this project how they carried it out. But they're talking about it. They're coming up with a description of the public art to put in, to attach to the Google map. They create a product, always in project-based learning. This can be a model, this can be a PowerPoint presentation, this could be an essay, but it's something tangible that can be shown to others. And then finally, they present their project to others for critique, for comments, or to teach other people what they have learned. So I'd like to stop here for a minute and ask you to turn to the person sitting next to you, tell them your name, and tell them what you think about what you just saw on the movie and in this little outline of what project-based learning is. You think your students could learn using that model? So we'll take 3 minutes. So let people know what you think. Go ahead. what did we ever do for other countries? Now, I'm going to transition, but first, I'd like to ask if there's any brave soul who would like to share some thoughts about the wonder of all this, about the impossibility of all this. Oh,
Professor, I do have a question about this because we have been studying by design and a project investment for a long time. But I know that in Taiwan, because we have a complete curriculum to finish, so it's hard for us to give the students so much time to do like they do the research by themselves during class time, and the teachers just work around to do the instruction. And also, I'm considering about how can we finish a project like by every quarter or every semester, but at the same time, how the teachers in the United States